Uh, Good morning, namaskar, everyone. And if you can't see me, I have to figure that out. Why my live stream has my video feed has stopped. But while I try and figure that out, I thought I'll anyway get started. So welcome to this Indica Books live hour with with Deepak, who is the author of the book "The Life and Music of Lata Mangeshkar." And we were talking with Deepak just last weekend about his other book, and on the 12 Tales from the Mahabharat. And I mentioned that he had written another book on Lata Mangeshkar, which is available as an ebook. And this is the one that we're going to discuss this Saturday. And before we get into the depth of it, Deepak, welcome to the show. And we also have Arun Krishnan, who is an author of the first book of the very, very well received trilogy, Nandi's Charge. It's the Battle of Vatapi trilogy, the first book in that series. And he has finished the first draft of the second book, so hopefully we'll get to talk to him about the second book very soon. But he's here more in his capacity as a great lover of Hindi music and songs. But Deepak, I'll request you to share a few words about the book and how you basically wrote it in a very, very short amount of time, and you published it. And I have to say, even though I consider myself as to be some sort of a aficionado and knowledgeable about Hindi music, but yet I learned a lot of things about Bharat Ratna Lata Manageshkar from your book.
Good evening, everybody. And Abhinavji, thank you so much for inviting me for a second successive week. I suppose this is some kind of record, the same author, 2 consecutive weeks. So that's a record in my name, just like Lata Mangeshkar has thousands of records in her name. Now, to tell you about, and of course, thank you so much, Arun Krishnan, for joining this session. So Arunji is a lover of Hindi film music, and his inputs in this discussion will be valuable. And of course, we have two more guests, I assume, who will be joining a bit later. So thanks to them also in advance. So, well, to start off, I, like most people of our generation, grew up on the music of Lata Mangeshkar, Kishore Kumar, and of course SP Balasubramaniam. So, as we know, during the COVID wave, SP Balasubramaniam passed away. So that was a big blow to all most music lovers, especially in the southern part of the country, because just as Lata ruled the world of Hindi film music, SP Balasubramaniam ruled the world of South Indian film music in all the languages. So that was a very big blow. And just a little bit while later, 1.5 years later, same thing happened with Lata. So ironically, it was almost the same kind of events. First, he was hospitalized. Then, news indicated that he was well. Things were recovering, and there were photos shared. And then again, he took bad, and then he went away. So the same story repeated with Lata, and it was really quite shocking for me, who was, a big fan of Lata Mangeshkar, who idolized her. So, as a writer, the only thing I could do is write a tribute to her. So, I wrote a small article which got published later on in Veranda Club. But then I thought, why restrict myself to an article? Let me do a book. So, on the day she passed away, I decided to write a book. And as Abhinavji was mentioning it, I managed to finish it within a month. So it was a very challenging job, because I'm not writing a fiction or a story about some character. This is about a real person, so it has to be accurate. So thankfully, I had some books with me already. I've always been a big fan of Hindi film music, and I followed the works of writers like Raju Bharatan and Harish Bhimani. So I had those books with me, and then I got more books, especially the work by Nasreen Munni Kabir, who has interviewed Lataji for BBC, and she has written a book, plus many other such books. And of course, we always have Google, who will give us thousands of pages of information. So only problem is we have to do a fact check, a real fact check, not the kind of artificial fact checks which happen. to find out which is true and which is not. So that was the challenging part. Writing part I really enjoyed. So basically, to sum up the book, it presents her entire life story in a nutshell. So it is not a very voluminous book. It's a very short book. So it starts from her birth and ends at her death in one line. So it covers all the decades she lived from the 1940s until the present decade of 2020s. So it talks about her birth, how she got initiated into the world of music, and how it was actually a necessity considering the fact that she had to do it for her family to survive. Then her struggles during the initial days, and then in the 50s, as we all know, she immediately took off and became the queen of the music industry, Hindi film music industry. And 60s and 70s, the golden era when she dominated, and also when the world of Hindi film music was at its peak. And then the 80s, when slowly things started declining for her and also for the music industry as such. And then the 90s, when there was a revival. And then gradually again, her frequency of singing got reduced during the 2000s and 2010s. Then finally, the tragic incident of her sad death. So most music lovers were hoping that she would live up to 100. Of course, we all knew that she's not going to sing anymore. It was not possible. But still, it was a very sad moment for all music lovers. So my objective behind writing this book is to present her life story, her life and music, which is what I've titled my book. So I've tried to do it by not as a biography. I do not claim that I have written a biography of Lata Mangeshkar. It is I'm presenting her life story along with her journey and the journey of Hindi film music, starting from the 1940s till today. And in the book, I've tried to present a lot of facts, interesting facts, trivia, so that people would like the book. And I hope that in the future, as we all know, today's generation, they're not much keen about old Hindi film music. So we hope that it doesn't die away completely. So maybe in the future, people would want to see, would want to know who Lata Mangeshkar was, what she achieved. So I'm hoping that my book will help answer that question. So that was the aim behind writing this book.
You're on mute, Abhinav.
I am muted. Okay, excellent. I am unmuted now. So, Arun and Deepak, how did you get, both of you, get interested in, first of all, Hindi music? And then, uh, uh, I suppose the second question is somewhat superfluous, that if you are interested in Hindi music, then, obviously you would hear, Lata Mangeshkar's songs, and you'll get, given her range and the number of years that she sang for, literally more than half a century, it's unthinkable that you wouldn't find some genre, some period of her career that you wouldn't love. But how did you get interested in Lata Mangeshkar's songs? And a big welcome before that to Pranshu. He's also an author. He's a co-author of the uh, the anthology Unsung Valor, and he is, what can I say, he's a walking, talking, living encyclopedia of knowledge on almost anything and everything Indic. I mean, things that we don't even know existed. He'll dig up those facts. He'll have them at the tip of his fingers, and it was but natural that he be a part of this discussion on Lata Mangeshkar. Uh, Deepak and Arun, over to you.
Yeah, if I can start off since Arun is on mute right now. So it was the radio initially where I started hearing songs of Lataji. And then, of course, as you know, during those times, we only had Doordarshan Hindi. Our regional language came out much later. So Rangoli and Chitrahar were our staple programs where we got exposed to Hindi film music. And as we know, naturally, Lata Mangeshkar songs dominated all of the film music. And then there was a very popular program that I loved, Binaka Geet Mala, which was presented by Amin Sayani. So I used to follow that program for quite some time. And again, that was another forum where we could hear Lataji's songs. And then there were so many things, Jaimala and many other wonderful programs on radio. So that's how I got exposed and I to Hindi film music. And also I must mention that I used to read Illustrated Weekly. So at that time, it was a very good magazine. Raju Bharathan would write a weekly column on Hindi film music. So he was a very biased author actually. He had a bias against Lataji, Kishore, and Asha, and favor all others. That's a different story, but it was very
Actually,
interesting his style of
he
writing.
had a bias against Mohammed Rafi also. In fact, when the movie Neel Kamal came out and the song जो almost for decades हर शादी में बजता था बाबुल की दुआएं लेती जा तुझको सुखी संसार मिले by composed by Ravi. He had said that Rafi was overacting and all, and much later we learned that Muhammad Rafi's daughter had been married a very short while back before the recording of the song took place, and when he was singing, he just couldn't control his emotions, and what you hear was that. So I think Raju Bharatan was a living encyclopedia of Hindi film industry and its music, but he was also very, very opinionated. So I think you get a lot of facts
I
from
will
his works,
say one thing about
but I
Raju
think you have.
Bhartan. Yeah, sorry. So Raju Bhartan actually was an encyclopedia on everything, like in cricket and other things, also politics. The thing was, when he was in Delhi, they used to call him Bombay Wala, and when he was in Bombay, they used to call him Delhi Wala. So he was always an outsider, a loner. So I think that sort of comes out a lot in his writings and everything. Is a person who basically wants to be involved, but is always kept away from the others, and so that comes out in his writing, like that sort of
But
not a
that's
venom. I wouldn't say venom. It's just the frustration of not being part of the
no, but
group.
that's also a good journalist, right? It's almost like
Yeah,
a journalist who is reviled by both the right and the left wing.
exactly. And and so eventually, I see he's very centrified. So that's why people still read him because of that.
So Arun, how did you get into Hindi music, and to this extent where you I haven't seen a video of you in recent times of jamming, but I do remember a few weeks, or at least maybe a couple of months back, you had posted a short video clip of you playing "Raah Pe Rehte Hain," which is an immortal song. Uh, how did you get into Hindi music?
So it's kind of similar to Deepak's, but also different because I grew up in the eastern part of the country. So I grew up in Odisha and Bengal, and I grew up speaking Hindi as almost like my native tongue, right? So we used to speak Tamil at home, but with friends outside, everything was Hindi. So um, I remember, I think in a sense, the first Lata song that I probably remember is Ik Pyar Ka Nagma Hai, and that's because it was my mother's favorite song, and she would keep singing it when I was a child. And so I actually associate that song with my mother rather than Lataji. But so that's how I grew up with Hindi songs. In fact, I came to Tamil songs rather late because of the fact that you know my first love in a sense is Kishorda. Okay, I love SPB, and I think SPB is the greatest playback singer to have ever sung in Indian movies. But if you were to tell me you can only listen to one song of one singer, it would be Kishore Das. It wouldn't be SPB for me. So I kind of grew up with that. I'm of the three of us here, or the four of us here, I'm probably the one who is um, the least Lata favorite or Lata fan in that sense. I was always more partial to Asha ji than Lata ji. But we can have that fight in due course. So I love a few of her songs. I've noted down some of my favorites, and then I can always talk about that. But yeah.
So you, Arun, talked about Ek Pyar Ka Nagma Hai from the movie Shore, and it was composed by Lakshmikant Pyarelal. That was your first. What about you, Deepak? The very first memories of listening to a song and just falling in love with it, and then realizing that this was a Lata Mangeshkar song.
You're muted, Deepak.
You're on mute.
So I think it is Aja Ai Bahar from Rajkumar. I'm not very sure. I don't remember. I think that was the song, and that is one of my all-time favorites. So
My
it
father's
brings
favorite
to
also.
yeah, it brings forth the glorious era of the 1960s. You know, Shami
And I
Kapoor,
suspect a lot of
Shankar Jayakishan.
our earlier generation who liked it was
Yes,
probably because of the fact that it was picturized on
on
Sadhana.
Sad.
Sadhana.
By the way, since you mentioned the earlier generation, I would like to kind of gently disagree with Deepak on this, where he said that I don't know if the younger generation listens to old songs. My daughters have like an entire playlist which starts off from the 50s, Kishore, Rafi, Asha, Lata. So I think it has a lot to do with also us as parents in terms of, and I'm sure your kids would be, given how much you love it, your kids would, I think subconsciously they imbibe it. And when they hit that certain age, it's suddenly like, hey, you know what? These songs are actually good.
Also, like
What
I
about
think
you, Pranshu?
it's
Your first Lata song
my
that you
first
remember?
Lata songs would be uh, it would be and it may not be a Lata song. See, it was the movie. Uh, it basically Gulzar's lyrics. In the that was the movie basically. I started listening to, uh, not specifically Lata. I wasn't old enough to understand that they were like different singers, but the movie was basically the song was "मैं पल दो पल का शायर हूँ, पल दो पल मेरी
Oh, okay.
जवानी है." So
This was Sahil Ludhianvi from Kabhi Kabhi and
कभी
Khayyam's
कभी
music.
Yeah, Kaya, I'm sorry. So that's the thing. So that's when I sort of got into. Oh, it was picturized on Rakhi, so that's why I associated Gulzar. So that's how I got into the music, really, because I really like those lyrics. Sort of they stayed with me. The first one was back in the 80s. My mom was putting together a series of uh, uh, human interest stories of India's founding fathers, and the story of Lata Mangeshkar's song "Mere Watan Ke Logo." And so she wrote a short story on that and how it moved Jawaharlal Nehru, and that basically was one of the that was one of the early, I would say one of my early memories of basically, then falling in love with the Indian music and songs as such. And I would actually want to point out that I did have a issue actually. I bought a whole collection of Lata's, when it came out 50 years, 1997, sort of 96, 97.
Shraddhanjali or Gitanjali? What was
Yeah,
it?
all the best of
Shraddhanjali.
her. The problem was,
No,
Shraddhanjali.
no, 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 no. You are talking, I think you're referring to in 1989 when she completed 60 years,
yeah,
HMV had come out with a collection called
Shraddhanjali.
no, 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 not Shraddhanjali. I'll tell you about Shraddhanjali. These are diamonds. The name of the cassette
oh,
pack was
yes,
called
yes, yes.
Diamonds,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it had 60 songs. Around the same time, a few years earlier, HMV had also come out with a two cassette pack called My Favorites, which was two or maybe three, four cassette pack of Lata's personal preferences of her favorite songs. And I believe someone or maybe Raju Bharatan had remarked at that time that it was also a reflection of her. She was like, scoring a few points because she picked only two of Shankar Jaikishan's songs there. And one of them was Unse Mili Nazar Ki Mere Hosh Ud Gaye, which is, I mean, if you were
Oh,
to
yeah.
rank Shankar Jaikishan songs, it would probably be after the rank number 50 or so.
Yeah, so in that series, basically, you're talking about the first CD ones, the ones which she re-sang them, and I think her voice wasn't that.
Shraddhanjali.
Gone.
Yeah,
It was gone by then.
yeah. So I was like surprised. Then but my dad actually had a very good collection of those play turn
Ah,
old style 75 RPM records. And so that I could listen and I could see the difference that even that she was such a powerful voice and everything. And the only thing I think they should have done was not ask her to re-sing those, and just re-record them, digitize
Yeah.
them, and that would have been a
correct.
and
She
and I think they did that in the later. I think around 20,
she
like
came
20
up
years later.
with two such sets. One was a Shraddhanjali one, where she re-sang male singers that she admired and two or three songs of each one of them. And then the second one, which came out a couple of years later in 1993 or so, was where she re-sang some of the female singers, Geeta Dutt and Shamshad
Yeah.
Begum and those. But the point is very valid that she was 60, 62 by that time. And she was singing songs that, singers like Hemant Kumar and Mohammed Rafi had sang at the peak of their careers, right? So it was, it
Can
is
I
what
can I
it is. I
just
love those songs, both
And the
versions.
orchestra, you could see that there's a difference in the orchestra also, because there's the skill of those uh, when they originally did it, they did it in all sorts of places, right? In probably in back lots, and and they don't have proper curtains, or maybe that added to the the rhythm, the sound which we originally heard was basically tattered curtains in this background and everything, so that the sound is not absorbed sort of unevenly. Though Deepak does make a point in his book, right? How Lata used to walk back and forth from the mic to give that
Yeah, that
effect.
was for
Now
that was
they
for this thing.
aega aane wala.
Aayega Aane Wala. She was made to walk from a distance to the mic so that and then she was
I
made
thought
to
it was
practice
her
it.
idea. I
Just
felt
No,
like
no,
imagine,
no, 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 not her idea.
okay.
That's what I heard. But
just
Pranshu, I
imagine.
always feel diffident when I'm contradicting you on
No,
something.
no, that's okay.
So, but I have to share this one anecdote. Yeah, when you mentioned "Ae Mere Watan Ke Logo," right? The first time I heard this was during school. I must have been in my seventh or eighth standard, and we were having our annual day function. And in the auditorium, we suddenly had a power outage. I mean, I was in Bengal. Bengal those days had 14-hour power cuts, right? We didn't have DG sets or anything. So the power went off. We didn't know what to do. Candles were lit on stage. And there was this one girl, I still remember her name, Shalini. She came on
Uh-huh.
stage and she sang. No, don't do aha. We'll keep that for later. uh, she went on stage and she sang I this thing "Ae Mere Watan Ke Logo" without a mic, and the whole auditorium reverberated. And I was like, I had goosebumps, and I was thinking, okay, I need to find out who sang this song originally, and that was my introduction to "Ae Mere Watan Ke Logo." Just amazing, amazing song.
Yeah,
It is. It is.
yeah, and
Now,
it that also reflects the the poetry. There as I talked about it, like my first uh, foray into Hindi music was really from that. मैं पल दो पल का शायर हूँ, मैं हर एक पल का शायर हूँ, as a Sahil Ludhianvi. So the main idea I also was later on reading about, and because of Deepak only earlier this year, right? Deepak's book. So I was reading about. One of the big singers of the time was Amirabai Karnataki. I think it was Amirabai Karnataki, and
Amir Bhai Karnatki.
Amirabai Karnataki, and she later, like and Lata basically moved into that position. But I was thinking Amir Bhai Karnatki is actually claim to fame also started off with similar to Lata's "Ae Mere Watan Ke Logo." She sang Vaishnav Janato Pire Payere in front of Mahatma Gandhi, which became Mahatma Gandhi's favorite. And I said, "Main pal do pal ka shayar." See, everything changes over time. The faces change, the ideas, the lyrics, the music of the country remains the same. And that's where I basically think, like we don't have anything to follow up, like how much Lata, and like, even before that Amirabai Karnataki and others, Amir Bhai Karnataki and others, like how we don't have that great maybe lyricists, the poets. I mean, there 1 billion plus of us. There should be many of them there, but we're not probably getting the right singers to actually have the same level of connect which these songs had.
So that's a good point to bring out, Pranshu. And Deepak, here's the thing, right? When Lata Mangeshkar came on the scene in the 40s, and then, by the late 40s, early 50s, one thing that happened was that composers of that time, they were suddenly unshackled, because now they had a voice that could carry any raga, any tune, any lay, any tal that they composed. They didn't have to scale it down or constrain themselves by the capabilities of the singers who were not classically trained. And here was Lata Mangeshkar, you threw any raga at her and it was like, okay, 1, 2, 3, practices takes and it's ready to record. And I think that really caused an explosion of the music that we get to hear in the 1950s. Obviously, there were, so many other singers who were also coming up at that time, from Asha Bhosle, Geeta Dutt, Shamshad Begum was there, just to name a few female singers. Then you had Manna Day, Hemant Kumar, Talat Mahmood, Muhammad Rafi, Kishore Kumar, but he was singing only for himself, and Devanand's, and even C. Chandran sang a few songs, before he became a full-time composer. But it was, I think, really Lata Mangeshkar who kind of, opened the floodgates for this kind of creativity that composers could indulge in.
Yeah, that's right. So when she entered the world of music, Shamshad Begum was the reigning queen. So as we know, her voice was, you can call it full vocal, throaty voice. So Lata's voice was very refreshing. It was musical, soft, and like you said, it opened a lot of possibilities for music directors, which is why they adopted her quickly. And of course, another factor interesting was that Shamshad Begum used to charge 950 rupees during those times, and Lata started with 50 rupees. Yeah, per song, and Lata started with 50 rupees. So it was a great marketing strategy also.
I'll give you the nature at that time. Top bureaucrat, Mr. Shankar, who was personal secretary to Vallabhbhai Patel, the Home Minister. He was the government officer. His take home was 630 rupees per month at that time. And Shamshad Begum was getting, so you should see the comparison on how well, actually, if you think about it, to the people running the country, the singers of the day were actually admired and paid.
She actually toppled Shamshad Begum very quickly because it took her hardly a couple of years.
Her husband passed away, so so Shamshad Begum, she had she was born in a very conservative Muslim family, and she married like a neighbor, a Hindu neighbor who was senior to her. A big love story on that, and he passed away in an accident, car accident, 1955, and she stopped singing because of that. I think Deepak, you may have visited that in your book. Like, I think both her two colleagues, and they're both Guru Behne, right? They were both Guru Behne to Lata Mangeshkar, Geeta Roy, and Shamshad Begum. Shamshad Begum was the previous find of. In both their cases, one basically gave up singing when her husband died. The other one started, whatever she started doing because of her husband's stuff. I think that may have affected Lata, and when Lata never, as some people say, never took Jack Kishan's offer of marriage, or later on Raj Singh Dungarpur's. She never, she probably was a little bit influenced by that.
So I wanted to touch upon this point now. You talked about the fact that Shamshad Begum charged 950 rupees when and Lata came at 50 rupees. In the 1960s, there was a time of roughly 3 years when the two top singers, Muhammad Rafi and Lata Mangeshkar, didn't sing for each other, and the rift started during the recording of a Salil Chaudhary song, Tasveer Teri Dil Mein, from that, and then for 2-3 years, and this was over royalties. But leaving that aside, for some composers or some producers, this was actually not a bad thing, because if you got Rafi and Lata, and for a duet, you had to pay both of them their full price. So I think both of them charged 3,500 or 5,000 rupees a song. So take, for example, the song from Baiju Bawra, which obviously came much earlier in 1954 or so, with the, when Naushad composed the music. There's a song to Ganga Ki Mauj Mein Jamuna Ka Dhara. Lata Mangeshkar's got just one line at the end, but it would still have meant paying both singers the same amount, just as in the movie Shagird. Dil mein pyar main kya janu re. Rafi begins the song with just 1-2 lines, but he would still have been paid the full amount. So for some composers of music or producers, this was not a bad deal. If you got Lata Mangeshkar for one and then you got Mahendra Kapoor for other, you could basically get by with a lot less money.
So actually, during those time, Mahendra Kapoor and Suman Kalyanpur, they benefited from the rift. So probably Lata and Rafi
Exactly.
realized it, and they decided to patch up. Though they were not on good relations, their musical combination was amazing. So there's no other word to describe.
Seriously, okay. My confession here is, just as Kishore Kumar is your favorite singer, Arun, Mohammed Rafi is my favorite singer. If I had to, just uh, if I were told that you can only hear to one playback singer for the rest of your life, I would pick Mohammed Rafi, even though I know Lata Mangeshkar has a larger collection of awesome, great songs over a longer period from the 80s and 90s and all. But I would listen to Mohammed Rafi. But their duets were absolutely amazing. I don't think even in the heyday of R.D. Burman and Kishore and Lata, I think that was surpassed. Agree, disagree, or should we head into an Arnab style debate here?
I think you're right. I think Kishore Das, Jodi with Asha Ji was just so incredible. They meshed and gelled together so well. To me, that pairing was kind of a separate pairing. I don't think any other female singer singing with Kishore Da could actually match him or outdo him in the type of songs that they sang. I'm not saying right. I've only heard, in my opinion, there's only one, and as a die-hard Kishore Da fan, there's only one song where I thought Asha Ji actually did better than Kishore Da, which was in what is in Hai Re Hai Tera Gungta. That one. That song I thought Asha Ji did better than Kishore Da. Because that ghumta, she would actually, the ta of the ghumta was with the tal, right? It would it was almost like the beat she would get it in that. So I thought, but you're right. I think Rafi ji and Rafi Saab and Lata ji's combination was deadly. So it was a very comparable. Kishore Asha is one pair, and then you have Rafi Lata.
And another interesting thing is R.D. Burman used this combination extensively, as did Lakshmikant Pyarelal. I mean, it's not that only Kishore sang. There's a feeling that after the 70s, it was only Kishore all the way, and R.D. Burman did not give songs to Muhammad Rafi. That is absolutely wrong. Because there are so many amazing songs that Lata and Rafi sang for R.D. Burman and even for Lakshmikant Pyarelal.
Okay, name Lata Rafi songs composed by R.D. Burman. I want to hear your favorites, Pranshu. Any that come to mind?
Oh, R.D. Burman. I don't have any off the top of the head.
Okay.
I'm more of Kishore Kumar.
Okay, Arun.
I'm also struggling here, unless there was.
Okay,
I could rattle
Deepak,
off.
now
I think it has to be Deepak or you.
Okay, Deepak, you and I will go at it. Let's start one from you.
I have one. Can I interject? I have one.
Yes.
Oh, not Rafi. That's Kishore and Lata. Chalega? Nahi chalega.
No.
No. ठीक है. Then maaf.
No, if you are going to sing, chalega.
नहीं आप.
If you are going to sing, chalega.
नहीं वो बाद में करते हैं. आप you first.
So, okay. See, if you look at the early period of R.D. Burman, you'll find a lot more Rafi Lata songs. And then when Kishore started singing for all actors, he removed his self-imposed restriction that I'll sing only for myself or Devanand. Then R.D. Burman went full throttle with Kishore and Lata and all. But there's this movie called Mela, which has got at least 2 or 3 beautiful Rafi Lata duets, including Gori ke haath mein. Gori ke haath mein. Then there is Rut hai Milan ki Saathi mere aare.
Gori ke haath mein hai challa. Haan, I remember that. I remember it's Jitendra.
No, this has got, I think, Sanjay Khan and
okay, then I'm misremembering. There's a different
or someone
movie
I
altogether.
forget.
what about Deepak? What's your favorite Rafi Lata duet?
There are so many. It's really difficult to find one. Actually, there's one from Sacha Jota. It's not R.D. Burman. It's Kalyan Anandji. That is "You Hi Tum Mujhse Baat Karti Ho." So
Oh,
that's one of my
lovely.
favorite. It's a wonderful song. And "Vada Kar Lo Sajna."
Oh
So
yeah.
that is also Kalyan
Anandji
Anandji.
song.
Yeah, so they have also come out with many gems, and then of course for their comeback song in Jewel Thief, Dil Pukare Aare Aare. So that is also Lata and Rafi. That was the song they came back after the rift.
Yes,
So
and Jewel
there are
Thief,
so many.
and Jewel Thief is also notable for one more thing, that there's only one song that was written by Shailendra, who passed away, and the other songs were written by Majru Sultanpuri. And that song that was written by Shailendra is perhaps one of the two most beautiful songs of that movie. It is Rula Ke Gaya Sapna Mera.
Oh gosh, I just love that song.
Yeah,
I
Bati
have.
Kab Ho Savera. That, yeah.
Oh gosh,
That
yeah.
is that is definitely.
I've actually got goosebumps now just thinking of that
Yeah.
song in my mind. Yeah. रुला के गया सपना मेरा
Beautiful.
Actually, I use
सवेरा.
this song
Beautiful.
in my first chapter of my Yudhavanyo. I mean,
So I want to discuss one thing. You could list 110 qualities of Lata Mangeshkar's music, but I think one of the very notable ones was her breath control. And one stunning example of it is this song, "Aapki Nazaron ne samjha pyar ke kabil mujhe." The breath control in that is something that I words fail me.
No, incidentally, it seems she learned breath control from Anil Biswas. He was the first to instruct her
I
on
see.
breath control. Of course, others also would have pitched in, but she credits him for that.
No, but it's true not just of Lataji, but almost all singers of that era that you could hardly tell when they took a breath. Okay.
Not
And
like
this is
Kumar
before
Sanu.
you had all the electronic, equipments
Yeah.
at your disposal of,
Correct.
silencing out those sounds.
and you are actually recording in all these situations, and
Yeah.
you mean, see, so another thing, which basically I think Deepak also I remember putting they used to practice a lot. They used to sing
Yes.
like 15-20
Yes.
times before they actually did the recording, and the recording
Correct.
was very expensive. Those, so they have to be almost perfect, that they are ready for it. Yeah, slept and ready for it,
And
like they
people
were
like Naushad were taskmasters. They
Yeah.
wouldn't care whether it's Lata or Rafi. It has to be absolutely perfect. Only then they would go for recording.
I have to share an anecdote there. One of the most beautiful songs that Lata Mangeshkar song was with Sajjad Hussain, not very well-known music composer, but the song was Sajan Ki Galiyan Chhod Chale, I believe. And it is a very difficult song. If you hear that song, it's a very difficult song. And it seems Sajjad Hussain remarked to Lata Mangeshkar, ये नौशाद साहब का गाना नहीं है, थोड़ी मेहनत करनी पड़ेगी.
Oh, that's a burn if there was one. That's trolling at the
But
highest level.
Sajjad Hussain was a brilliant composer, but very temperamental, which is why he doesn't have too many songs. But one of his songs was actually copied by Madan Mohan, and it was ये हवा ये रात ये चांदनी तेरी एक अदा पे निसार है, sung by Talat Mahmood. This tune was lifted by Madan Mohan. The song was sung by Mohammad Rafi. It was तुझे क्या सुनाऊं मैं दास्तां तेरे सामने मेरा हाल है. So
He lifted it with permission, without permission. What was that?
Without permission, and it seems when
Obviously,
Sajjad
without
Hussain confronted him and said that how dare you copy my song, Madan Mohan basically कहते हैं ना कि पैरों में गिर पड़ा, सर उस्ताद आपका गाना नहीं कॉपी करूंगा तो किसका करूंगा. But okay, here's a quiz for all of you. There was one song that Lata Mangeshkar sang for S.T. Burman when in the early 1950s. And this song was remade, copied by three different composers, three different great
Okay,
composers, and four versions of it came out. You want to guess
yeah,
which song I'm talking about?
I know this song. It just skipped my mind. I have. Yeah, wait.
Is there that movie which was made in Tamil also afterwards? That
Boss, those days all Hindi songs would be copied in Tamil, so
yeah, I know,
that
I know.
doesn't narrow the Hindi.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to connect my SPVs.
I'll give you one hint. The original was composed by S.T. Burman and sung by a very, very young Lata Mangeshkar in her 20s.
One of our first songs. I mean, one of the first Hindi songs.
Okay. Thandi Hawaएं.
Thandi Hawa.
Lehra ke aaye.
Lehra.
In Tamil, it was Konjum Purave. I think sung by Sushila. I think. Konjum Chandi. Oh, lovely song. And the other songs were what?
Okay, so we'll start with
Rahe,
the very end.
rahe, na rahe, hum.
By Roshan.
That is also same. Thandi Hawaएं wala tune.
Thandi Hawa, copied from that one, and there are two versions of it. One is Lata Mangeshkar, and the other one is a Muhammad Rafi duet from the movie Mamta, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, that is the first instance where it was copied. The second one was copied by Madan Mohan, and it was sung by Muhammad Rafi.
What was that song?
यही है तमन्ना तेरे दर के सामने मेरी जान जाए.
Oh. Okay.
Listen to that. It's a straight left. The third one was copied by the son, R.D. Burman, in the movie Naram Garam, sung by Asha Bhosle. हमें मंजिलों की जरूरत नहीं है तेरे कदमों के निशान मिल गए हैं. And the fourth one was copied again by R.D. Burman in the movie Sagar. Now you have to guess this song. It's a duet.
Sagar Kinare,
Yeah.
Dil Ye Pukare.
Dil Ye Pukare. Oh, yeah.
So Lata Mangeshkar ended up singing that same tune 30 years later for the son, the tune original which had been composed by the father.
A lovely anecdote.
Yeah, that's a nice
I have to. Can I talk about one song? I really.
Yes, please.
So for the longest time, right? I used to think. I still do think a little bit that Asha ji was way more versatile in her range of songs than Lata ji. Okay. Until I heard, this song, which is it's an RD song. Baahon mein chale aao. Okay. And Lata ji, the way her voice modulation in this song was just incredible. I mean, when she starts off so soft. It's almost like a whisper. It's at night. She's trying to, I think, seduce Sanjeev Kumar or something, right? In this scene. And it's a soft song. She doesn't want to wake up the neighbors, perhaps. That's what she was told. So, and then the whole song flows like that. And it's just, the modulation is brilliant. So
it is a beautiful song. In fact, to the point of the range and versatility, yes. Perhaps by choice, Lata Mangeshkar avoided the cabaret disco kind of songs. Disco came later, but the cabaret songs that you would typically have Asha Bhosle singing for Helen.
But she did sing for Helen, right? Mangta hai to aaja.
No, that was her sister Usha Mangeshkar.
Oh, that was Usha, is it?
No, she has sung Aaj Aane Ja.
Okay.
She Intikam, Aaj Aane Ja, I think she sang that. But the other song, which is basically not a favorite of mine, it was in the 1980s where the quality of Hindi music had deteriorated beyond imagination. But she still sang this very disco kind of a song with Muhammad Aziz in Shahenshah. Jaane do mujhe jana hai. That was a very disco-ish song, not a favorite, but still, I mean, she sang that song.
See, what most of us, or at least I associate Lata ji is with haunting songs, right? I
Lekin.
think if you had to ask me to pick 2 or 3 songs, the first one I would pick would be Chandan Sa Badan, Chanchal Chitwan. It's just haunting. You listen to that at night, you're alone, you sit somewhere, and you listen to Chandan Sa Badan, all's right with the world. And God, there's a saying, there's an English this thing like, God's in his heaven and all's right with the world.
What?
I feel that when I listen to Lataji singing Chandan Sa Badan. It's just,
Haunting songs, Deepak, I'll ask you for your favorite, but I'll tell you Lata Mangeshkar's haunting song, one of my absolute top favorites is Kahin Deep Jale Kahin Dil, which was from Bees
beautiful.
Saal Baad, a remake of Hound of the Baskervilles. But that song is absolutely
Yeah.
haunting.
I think she got the Filmfare for that, if I'm not wrong.
Ah, I see.
One of her 4 Filmfare. My favorite
In the
haunting
in,
song is Gumnaam title song. Gumnaam Hai Koi.
Gum.
So it goes in the background. That was, of course, Agatha Christie, 10 Little Indians remake.
Okay.
And then there were none, I think, right? That
Yeah,
was
and
what
there
it
were.
was. And then
Both,
there
both
were
are the
none.
same alternate titles.
No, she had initially called
Okay.
it 10 Little N word,
10 Little
Ah,
Indians.
yes.
and
Yeah,
then
10
they
little,
Some other
yeah.
word.
नहीं
Some
नहीं
other word which
Indian
is
से पहले
politically
she had
incorrect.
10 little N word, the
Yeah.
N word for African Americans in those
Yeah.
days. Then she changed it to 10 little Indians. Then Indians must have protested. So
No, yeah,
then there was none.
exactly. So,
So that's
What
the
about you,
song
my
Pranshu?
Gumnaam.
Your
favorite haunting
favorite
song was
haunting?
actually a haunting song. मैं एक सदी से बैठी हूँ वो लेकिन
Which one is this?
लेकिन so
Lekin. Okay, okay.
that's where I had listened to Lata's old songs which she had resung, and it was very I was like put off a little bit, and then Lekin came out, and then Lekin had Lata's like 6 songs from Lata, and all
We
of
have to
them were like
mention Yara Sili Sili. That was amazing. There are
It was
those
at
who
the
say
top
that
of the Sevaka Geetmala for like
she was very
and the
shrill.
entire year.
That's an accusation. But if you listen to this song, you'll realize, that was in
The other was
1992.
the other
So
song
he
that
was
I would
60.
be Chura ke gaya sapna mera.
Ah.
बैठी हूँ कब हो सवेरा.
Yeah, that's just again something very haunting. It's
Yes.
when I say haunting,
Rula
it's
Ke Rai.
about Rula ke gaya sapna
Yeah.
mera. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So let me talk, Deepak. One of Lata Mangeshkar's absolute gems was unfortunately from a movie that never saw the light of day, composed by R.D. Burman in the 1990s from a movie called Libas. And the song was Sili Hawa Chhu Gayi, Sila Badan Jal Gaya, written by Gulzar.
Yes.
A beautiful song. And then there's another duet in that same album.
that was right.
And that's also got a very haunting lilt to it if you.
No, incidentally, talking about her shrill song, since we are talking about the melodious song, she herself says that she was stubborn. Initially you spoke about Ajay Rotkar from Arzu, so that is very shrill. It is, you feel embarrassed actually. She says she did it as a challenge. So that was Jai Kishan's song. So he probably threw it as a challenge, and she just accepted it recklessly. And the end result doesn't look good. But she says those days she was stubborn. She was like, I must sing it. So that's why some of the songs, they sound very odd.
In fact, Lata Mangeshkar had remarked at one time that since all of these composers were near her age, they were all kind of the same age, especially Shankar Jaikishan. They said, they used to bully me, I used to bully them. And one song that she was bullied into singing, she says, a song that she never ever sang again in any live performance was Main Ka Karu Ram Mujhe Buddha Mil Gaya.
Sangam. Yeah.
Sangam.
Since they tricked her to sing that. So, they put pressure that there's a shooting tomorrow, you have to sing. And then she came unprepared, and somehow they fooled her and made her sing it. So she was very angry.
My association with that song is from childhood, because I don't know why, when I was around 8 or 9, I translated that song or the first few lines of that song into Tamil, and I used to sing it in Tamil, like a direct translation of the song into. So I think that song for me, Lataji's Lataji should have stopped singing. Okay, Just as this thing. When I think she should have stopped singing, or when I felt it was in Chandni. Okay, when there is a line which goes, "Toot gayi, toot ke main choor ho gayi. Tu mere samne, main tere samne." That song.
From Dar.
From
Dar.
Dar. From Dar. Sorry, from Dar. That toot gayi, toot ke main choor ho gayi. Her voice was actually, shit had broken. It was all over the place, and I was like, why? I mean,
I didn't
people
realize
say,
it was Lata singing. I never.
it was Lata.
But
And
amazingly, at that same time, we had Lekin. So, there is a
See,
contradiction there.
And Jia Jale, for example,
Yeah,
A.R.
that
Rahman,
was terrible.
that was bad. And I don't
That
know
was
why people
terrible.
claim it was a brilliantly sung
Yeah.
song. No, it wasn't.
It
It
was
was just
embarrassing
terribly
actually to listen to that.
Yes, especially for Lata fans, it was very it must have been really embarrassing to
So
listen.
maybe for people of those at that generation, A.R. Rahman, Lata, it was something new. So probably they liked it, but it was quite embarrassing. She
Yeah.
sounded very awkward.
see again. There is also like a highbrow and then there's the people. I mean, see, I love basically Kishore Kumar and mainly because of not for his like Dur Gagan Ki Chhao mein, it's more of chill chilla ke kajri sunaye because they just appeal, at a very basic level. So
No,
even Lata, even at Lata, you could say Lata at her worst was so much better than some of these songs we even right
Oh,
now like
undoubtedly.
have these singers coming in. I mean, and actually, look, I've watched some of these TV shows which have these new singers coming in. There's such great depth and talent in everything. And so I would say that the people who actually, I remember when in school, like, nobody was going to sing a song, the national anthem, something, they would just randomly select one kid and he would go up and go, "Jana Gana Mana." And you see, and I say, okay, we came from that to this, now I'm sure like in the school, if somebody shout like who wants to sing the national anthem or any song, or something, everybody would. So there is a lot of, and most of it is because of Lata sort of, taking that journey into the Gen Y and millennials, literally.
so
She was
And
around.
just with that point regarding shrillness, there was an interview where I heard SPB Garu say, he said it is the music director's fault. Okay, his point is you're making the male voice and the female voice sing in the same octave,
Yes.
and it is the music, it's up to the music composer to ensure that the shrillness is not there. He says you can't, I mean, if I sing at my higher range, to expect a Chitra to hit that range with us, it's very difficult, because where it starts off, it becomes very difficult. So
Actually, this
I think
exact
it,
point Lataji has mentioned, she said that
yeah,
they would make her sing at Rafi's scale, which she could not do. But she would do
yeah,
it as a challenge, and the end result would sometimes
would
sound
be
better.
And they used to
yeah.
practice a lot also. You see, that's the other part of it. And that's why like people keep on saying that Asha sang more songs than Lata. I would say that when Lata started and everything, each song she sang in the 50s and 60s, 40s, 40s, 50s and 60s, she actually sang it 20 times, really.
Right.
So you should actually think about it that like she literally sang more songs. And of course, I mean, there would be, you'll find some Bhojpuri singer who sings every like 4 shows every night for last like 30 years or so. So well, those are like so I always felt that they were unnecessarily comparing Asha and Lata.
Yeah, no, they were, I
Yeah,
think
there
they
was
were,
a needless comparison just for the sake of creating a controversy or headlines.
TRPs basically. Yeah, somebody just wants
TRPs,
to write a
clickbait,
TRP.
correct.
no, but that
So
will always
Deepak,
happen, right? If you have Tendulkar and Dravid, I mean, we would always have that, or Gavaskar and Vishwanath, or Kapil Dev and some. Well, Kapil Dev and nobody, because we didn't have anybody to compare him with. But
Madanlal, some meanings.
नहीं Madan Lal नहीं नहीं Pranshu ji नहीं Madan
maybe
Lal and Kapil
Kapil Dev and Sandeep Patil might have come close in terms of their ability to hit
swashbuckling,
dashing
yeah,
Yeah.
innings,
yeah.
swashbuckling. Deepak, you tell me a little bit about the research that you did. You talked about three authors. One was Raju Bharatan, the other one is Nasreen Munni Kabir. Which was the other
Harish
reference?
Bhimani. Harish
Harish
Bhimani
Bhimani.
actually
Okay.
used to do the anchoring for many of her shows. So he was almost like a
Correct.
family friend. So that there was an interesting information shared. So we all know about the Guinness Book story, wherein it was said that she had sung 60,000 songs, and her name was put in the Guinness Book. And then Rafi challenged it. So he said that I have sung more songs. A very unpleasant situation. Finally, they dropped that record itself from the Guinness Book, but that was many years later. But according to Harish Bhimani, she has sung 8,226 songs. So we can believe him because he is a family friend and he has been with her for
And he
very
counted
long.
the receipts. He counted the payment checks.
Yeah,
So the
probably.
payment checks he
Eight eight
counted.
two 8226 is the number that he gives. But they say 40,000, 60,000, which seems a bit too much. So that
No,
is
but don't we say
Correct.
the same for SPB? We say 30, more than 35,000 or
no, but
maybe
he could have
40.
done it. He sang in 4, 5, 6 languages, and he would sing from morning to night.
That's
30,
that's
20
true.
That's what I'm
songs a
saying.
day.
Yeah.
And
Because I heard a
that was
Bhojpuri singer recently being claimed that he sang more songs, but he is basically like a artist, performance artist who's been singing for 30, 40 years. So think
yeah,
about it, 1,000 songs a year easily,
that's
it
right.
it adds up.
And just one point I wanted to add to showcase, why Lata Mangeshkar is so special. So there is a song from Amar Akbar Anthony, "Humko Tumse Ho Gaya Hai Pyar,
Yeah, yeah.
Kya Kare."
Yeah.
So that's picturized on all the heroes and heroines. So we have Kishore Kumar singing for Amitabh Bachchan, Mohammad Rafi singing for Rishi Kapoor, and Mukesh is singing for Vinod Khanna. But for all the three heroines, Parveen Babi, Shabana Azmi, and
It
Neetu
was
Singh,
Lata.
there's only one singer, which is Lata. So they could have got two others. They could have got her sisters itself, Asha and Usha, just about anyone. But it showed her power. That she could sing for all the heroines in that song, and
And you
whoever was
feel
the
they were
heroine,
different,
she would sing.
and yeah, when Shavana Azmi was on the screen, you felt there's different songs
Correct. It's
Yes,
also.
yes,
very, very low.
yeah. So the same thing,
Parveen
incidentally,
Babi, I
SP
don't
also used
remember
to
if
do
she
it.
had a big line in that song, but
So that was the power of Lata Mangeshkar. She dominated. Of course, everyone says that she stifled competition, but there's an interesting thing which Madan Mohan said, which I just wanted to highlight. So they did a talent search throughout India. It was called as Murphy Talent Search with the Murphy Company. So in that talent search, incidentally, Mahendra Kapoor came out as the winner. So he was spotted. So Madan Mohan is on record saying that he could not find a single female singer who could match up to Lata. So he's on record saying that. He says that there is no one, so from where will we find? And Raj Kapoor tried to promote Sharda, but it doesn't
I
sound
thought
nice. But
I thought Vani
terrible.
Jairam. I thought Vani Jairam's career in Hindi was cut short by Lata. That's this.
Uh,
That's what it.
yeah, that's what they say. But she has a different story. Lata says that she gave a letter to Vani Jairam to go and meet Vasant Desai, and she recommended. Of course, that's what she says. We don't know how true it is.
My
But
one grouse.
yeah,
My one grouse against Lataji. In grouse, it's not because anything she did, but it's because of her voice timbre and quality and everything, and the types of songs that she sang, that a singer as gorgeous and powerful as Usha Uttup could never shine in Hindi film music. If Usha Uttup ji had been born 3 decades later,
yes.
she would have been like the top singer, right? I always felt a little bad for her, saying, it was a Lata effect, because every
That's
singer
true.
wanted to sing like Lata, every music director wanted a Lata clone. uh,
Yes.
you know
That's how it is.
Yeah.
yeah.
actually, you put a very good point about the Murphy and how song is so much connected to India. You know that the Murphy contest was so popular that the government used to say that if you do Nasbandi, we will give you a free Murphy radio. They used to call Murphy ka tukda. So it's so much, there's so much so much power, basically, music, and especially the popular music has. And this is where I feel like, last 20 years or so, you have such a great songs, and there's like no doubt about it, a lot of great songs, and the Ashiki 2, for example, and so on. And but that connect is sort of, I don't know. maybe I'm outside, living outside. So
I'll tell you, Pranshuji, I'll tell you one thing, right? The first, in my opinion, again, we might come off sounding like old fogies here, but I think the quality of songs and the ratio of signal to noise has gone down. Also, if you think about it, right, when people play, most of the modern songs are not, you can't sing them without all the background music. Okay,
Correct.
so if you're playing Antakshari, you're still going for a
and that's
pre-90s
the
song.
second point I was, yeah. So see, one of the biggest connects through family is whenever family meets, a lot of family connection. What is, how do you pass time? We play Antakshari, and I've been playing Antakshari for like almost uh, many decades. I won't say how many, but so, and we are singing the same songs. Even
Yeah.
recently, I went to my like India in August, and we had a big family gathering, and we were, and all the new kids, the kids who have been not born who have been born this century, and the songs we were playing in Antakshani, they were singing, were again the ones
Same.
which we were singing in 1970s. And so they're the same
La
songs.
se, La se first song is still Lalla Lalla Lori Doodh Ki Katori.
Oh, Lara Lappa Lai Rakhda.
Lalla Lalla also.
So that power is of yeah, it's I think maybe lyricists are getting drowned out in the volume or whatever the
No,
sound.
the other thing is, right, think about it as a song connecting to every aspect of your life or every sentiment or mood. I would struggle to think of a new song that I would sing if I was down in the dumps. I would still go to a Mere Naina Sawan Bhado. I don't know what other song post 2000s I could sing, right?
When it comes to the blues, I'll say that all the great singers of the past had a very good collection, from Lata Mangeshkar, Asha Bhosle, Muhammad Rafi. But I think the one singer I would go to for blues is Mukesh.
Not ab जी
Yeah.
के क्या करेंगे जब दिल ही टूट गया.
I mean, some of
Oh,
Mukesh's songs, and we can do a full segment on that. His songs are, I mean, they literally take your heart and they wrench it, and then they drain all the
जाने कहाँ
emotion out
गए
of
वो
it.
दिन.
जाने कहाँ गए वो दिन, बहुत, or from that very tragic movie तीसरी कसम. Tragic not because
oh,
of the movie, but because of what it did to Shailendra. But if you look at Mukesh's songs in that movie, सजनवा बैरी हो गए हमार,
Hamar. That is.
और दुनिया बनाने वाले क्या तेरे
दुनिया
दिल में
बनाने वाले.
समाई, काहे को दुनिया बनाई. And then Lata
And
Mangeshkar
again,
had a beautiful song in that, if you recall. One was the more famous one is the one sung by Asha Bhosle, Pan Khaye Saiya Hamar. But the one by Lata is Mare Gaye Gulfam, which is a very wicked song in that. But that is sung by Lata Mangeshkar.
The Mukesh, the thing about Mukesh was also, Mukesh also got typecast, right? He people like that, and so they gave him a certain type of songs, and then later on generation, I had arguments with people saying, "Oh, Mukesh always had easy songs." I said, "No, he had some difficult songs. It's just that you don't hear them that much because his repertoire of the songs which are famous are so good and so big that you don't actually get to where he actually uses his whole skill." And there are songs with Rafi and Mukesh also, where you could arguably say that he outshone Rafi, and maybe Rafi had a bad day that day or something. And because Rafi was, as you know, getting into that challenge with Lata and singing more songs than Lata, right? They were singing more and more. So there was a period like late 60s, early 70s, I think, stretching in, when they were singing a lot of these songs very fast, very quickly, delivering like 8-10 songs basically per movie. But none of
So there
them,
were
sort of.
Mukesh and Rafi. When you talk about, there are at least two famous songs that come to mind. One is from the 1970s movie Do Jasoos, where the
दो
title song
जासूस
Do
करे
Jasoos
महसूस
Kare Mehsoos Ki
करे
Duniya Badi
महसूस.
Kharab Hai.
हाँ.
And the other one is also from a Raj Kapoor movie, and it had, I think, Rahman and Raj Kapoor in it. Jis Pyar Mein Ye Haal Ho, Us Pyar Se Tauba, which is the movie
Correct.
uh, which had that famous song that was banned by the government, आसमां पे है खुदा और जमीन पे हम आजकल वो इस तरफ देखता है कम. And it had a beautiful Mukesh and Asha Bhosle duet, वो दिन कभी तो आएगा. But in any case, we are talking about Lata Mangeshkar, and
Lata Manageshkar.
Arun, we have to end with you. And we'll have Deepak, you have to suggest a couple of options.
No, I leave it entirely to Arun. Let him choose his favorite Lata song or Lata Kishore, whatever.
Okay, no. So there is a song that's been sung by Lata ji and Kishore separately. I love the Kishore version, but I'm not going to sing that, which is
I think I know what you're referring. Yeah,
Mere Nana Savan Bhado.
Exactly.
I'll sing a couple of lines, and Bhool Chook Maaf if I miss the words or something. I love Chandan Sabadan, so I'm just going to sing that. Chandan Sabadan चंचल चितवन धीरे से तेरा ये मुस्काना मुझे दोष न देना जग वालों मुझे दोष न देना जग वालों हो जाऊं अगर मैं दीवाना चंदन सा बदन चंचल चितवन धीरे से तेरा ये मुस्काना. I don't think there could be a more romantic song than this. Maybe O Mere Dil Ke Chain comes close.
लग जा गले कि ये रात कल हो ना हो फिर हो ना हो.
Okay.
Oh,
that's also one of the most amazing songs.
Oh, that is perhaps, I think, one of the most seductive songs I have heard or seen in Hindi music. I mean, and obviously, I mean, since we're talking about it, and since I'm a Rafi fan, I'll list 3 songs that I think are my favorites. I don't think there's possibly a more romantic monsoon song than the one from Haste Zakhma, Tum Jo Mil Gaye Ho, a Madan Mohan Jain.
Amazing. Yeah.
The other one is the very mischievous song from Kala Bazaar, Devanand sitting on the top berth of a train and singing Apni to har aah ek tufan hai. Sitting down and with the Wahida Rahman stepping up, Upar wala jaan ke anjaan hai. And obviously the eternal favorite from Tere Ghar Ke Samne, Dil Ka Bhavar Kare Pukar.
Oh, love that one. I love the lilting. So SPB has said that he considered Rafi Saab his guru in terms of the voice modulation and everything. And he considered Rafi Saab the best ever playback singer in Indian films. So if a god says another person is God, I will take that.
So this has been so enjoyable, listening to the three of you, Deepak, for having written that book. It's a treasure in so many different ways that we don't often think about the fact that Lata Mangeshkar was a part of our lives for not only our entire lifetime, but also for our previous generation and so on. That there are so many facets to her life, to her singing, to her interaction with her peers, with her composers and all. And you have brought them, all of those facts together in this lovely book. I think it's a fantastic, I think, tribute that you could have paid, or anyone could have paid, to that great singer. Arun, for, your I just love your jamming, and I think you should do more of it. We should just maybe one day just have an entire session where we do nothing but jamming with all classic Hindi songs. And Pranshu,
sure,
as always,
Aapki farmaish, we'll have a program.
Always up for that.
So this was great. Thank you all for coming in, and we will see you next week.
Before you close, I must say that Deepak and Pranshu, I was telling Abhinav that I'm going to be the village idiot there because I know the least about Lata Mangeshkar ji's songs of all of them. And when I heard it was going to be Deepak and Pranshu ji, I was like, "ठीक है, मेरी तो लग गई आज." So hopefully,
No,
but this was very enjoyable. I learned quite a lot.
I'm an amateur. I am good at Antakshini for 40 years plus. That's my play. So I know the songs, and a lot of times I will not connect correctly. Like there's this famous song with Nutan, and I think it's a Lata song. There's this, and it's a very beautiful song. It's just like coming out of my head. It's like there's this freedom fighter. He has been arrested and put in
Sawan
middle
ka
of
mahina?
Huh?
No. This is probably from Bandhani. Ashok
Bandhani,
Kumar
yeah.
and Nutan.
So I don't know if it was Lata singing that song for Nutan in that.
I think
So
it is
there's one Asha Bhosle song, Ab ke baras bhej babul.
No, not Ab ke baras bhej babul. This is another. This is a very. It's a very romantic song. Actually, it's a. She's in love with the idea, and that was so beautifully portrayed in that voice. And I
Oh
found
yes. Oh, jab se tu aaya. I think that's how the song goes. For me, the most
always felt
romantic
it was
song
Lata
of that.
song, and yeah, or could be Geeta Dutt.
Geeta Dutt didn't have a song in Bandhani, but the most romantic song from Bandhani was the one sung at the climax by S.D. Burman.
Oh, that is Mere Saajan Hai
More
Us Paar.
Saajan Hai Us Paar. And
classic.
Nutan's look when the steamer's horn goes off, and the words, Shailendra's words, I think they are genius. Doesn't come close to describing his lyrics.
But
I got it. Mora Gora Rang Lele.
Oh yes.
Gora Rang Lele. Mere Sham Rang De. That was the.
Yes.
But see, I mean, I sorry, I know we're going to close, but I just had to bring this point up, right? One of the things, what makes these songs, I was thinking about Chandan Sa Badan, okay? There is this beautiful little phrase which says, Dheere se tera muskana, right? And I'm thinking to myself, the song actually, the kind of feeling that it's not lust, it's a deeper feeling. That subtlety that was there is missing now. That's to me what
something comes in out of the heart, and getting in through the bloodstream and to the muscles, and then your smile.
Yeah, dheere se tera ye muskana. I mean, that is enough. That tells you everything you need to know about what's going on in their hearts. What is this expression on her face? How does it impact him or her? Just amazing. I love that phrase.
So none of that chad gaya upar re pap
Exactly.
right?
Khatiya types. Anyway.
On that happy note, on that happy uplifting note, thank you, Deepak. Thank you, Arun. Thank you, Pranshu, for this. We will be back next Saturday for a talk. This time we're going to be talking about economics. Kautilyanomics is the name of the book, and we'll be in conversation with the author Sriram Balasubramaniam. So catch you next week, and thank you again. We were talking about Lata Mangeshkar and her life and music, and the book written by Deepak. And follow us at Indica Books on Twitter and on our Facebook group. And thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.